In 2020, I read a book all on my own, meaning like no one forced me. This wasn't a school assignment or anything. And honestly, I can't think of anything crazier that happened that year.
Huh?
Sorry, what? Oh, you want to know what book it was that I was reading? You know, I don't really think what 17-year-old me was reading is really important or relevant right now. Next question. I was never really into reading growing up, and I mean the forced reading logs definitely didn't help. I mean, did anyone actually do them? Because like we all fake them, right? But over the last few years, I have tried my hardest in becoming a reader. And I mean, there's that whole discussion of reading as like a symbol of status. I mean, there are so many YouTube videos that you can watch on it if you want. My reading journey began in 2020, and I feel like that was the time that book talk was starting to become a thing as well. So after I read that first book, I realized that I actually might like reading. And actually around that time, I definitely read a lot. It just wasn't books. So from that moment, I really wanted to become a reader. I even set goals for myself every single year to read a specific amount of books. My goal every year was 7, and then ultimately I would be very disappointed at the end of the year because I only ended up reading like 1 or max 2 books. And last year was the most amount of books I've ever read in an entire year of my life. I read 5 books last year. Basically what I'm saying, I was not a reader. I really wanted to be one. I was talking with my friend about how I was planning on making this video, and she said how she doesn't really want to be a reader. She prefers movies, which is so valid. Like, the only way you can become a reader is if you want to become a reader, which is something that I want it to be. So if you want to be a reader but something is stopping you, you have to identify what that big problem is. Like, what is your biggest hurdle that's stopping you from becoming a reader? My biggest problem, the biggest thing that was stopping me from becoming a reader, was buying books. Hear me out. Spending $10 to $20 every single time I wanted to read a book, and I'm so cheap, okay? I'm so cheap. Imagine I spent all that money and then I end up not liking the book. Worst day of my life. So buying a book would be a decision that I would mull over for months. And then I got a job at a library. Let's get into it. The best secret in becoming a reader is getting a library card. Because how are you supposed to know what you like if you've never read books in your life? Which is why having a library card is so great, because you can check out any book you want for free. And if you don't like it, you can just stop reading it. Like, you don't have to force yourself. If I bought a book and I didn't like it, I would force myself to read it, because it's like, I can't waste my money. Like, I just spent $15 on this. I have to finish reading this, even if it took me 8 months. And like one book in particular. There is no reason why you should be reading a book that you are not just like craving to read, like in your soul, like you're so excited to read it. Like, don't force yourself to read something that you don't like. So how do you find things you like? I recommend starting with genres that you think you might like. When I first started getting into books, I really gravitated towards like dark academia and like mystery. Like, I read The Secret History, which is an amazing book. I did a video recently where I read romance books for a week. I was under the impression that I was going to be cringing the whole time. But there were some books in that video that I liked more than others. You can't get discouraged if the first book you pick up you don't like. Because there are so many subgenres and writing styles and tropes, all that get like categorized into like the big main genres. A lot of it is just trial and error and just saying what you like. Let me say this again. Don't force yourself to read something that you don't like. And please, I'm begging you, please, if you are just starting to read, you are just starting your journey, do not, under any circumstance, pick up a classic. I'm telling you this right now. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. I know it's tempting. I know the covers are really beautiful. I know you think you're gonna be like good with it. I know. Trust me, don't do it. Because unless you are a seasoned reader or you're an English major, those books will be very difficult to get through and probably will put you in a reading slump. I picked up a copy of Crime and Punishment a couple months ago. I really loved the synopsis of the book. I thought it was right up my alley, but it got to the point where it was actually taking me like an hour to read 15 pages. Because why is there like 5 pages of just some random man in a bar ranting about how his life sucks? Like, please, someone get that man a diary. right? But also, you don't have to read the classics. If all you want to read are just cute romance stories, that is totally valid. So kind of getting more into how I find books to read. My toxic trait is I will judge a book by its cover. I pick what book I want to read almost solely based on vibes. So something I love doing is going to stores like Barnes & Noble or, you know, any other bookstore, but Barnes & Noble is great because they have a lot of displays, like where the front cover of the book is usually facing you instead of just the spine, and unless you have a really nice library, usually they don't have that many displays, so it's really nice going into a store like Barnes & Noble. It's a lot more accessible in that way. And what I like to do is if a book catches my attention, I just take a picture of it, and then when I get home I add it to my TBR. I also get a lot of recommendations from TikTok. I found that if you just search on TikTok like romance book recs, like it will not give you the best recommendations, honestly. So what I recommend is finding specific like book content creators to follow and then just see what their recommendations are, and you know, find someone that kind of has that aligns with your reading interests. Let's talk audiobooks. There's a lot of discourse around audiobooks. The biggest thing is like they don't really count as reading, which I think is BS. Obviously you're not, you know, sitting down and reading, but audiobooks are just so accessible. You know, they're kind of like a cheat code if you want to get a lot of books read, because you can really just them out. A lot of libraries still have like physical audiobooks on CDs that you can check out, but what I use is Hoopla and Libby. Now, I love talking about Hoopla and Libby. For both apps, you need a library card to sign in, so you do need that before you can use either app. But Libby is more, well, I think only has the titles that your library has, while Hoopla is kind of like a more general library where it's not specific to your own library with the library card you sign in with. With that, Hoopla usually doesn't have as many things on it as Libby, but it still has a lot of great titles on there. And why I love using Hoopla a lot more is because there are no wait times. I've been waiting on a book since February. Okay, you're probably going to be waiting some time if you want to check out a book from Libby, but those are both great resources. I know also like Spotify has audiobooks and obviously Audible, and there are just so many other like services out there, but you know, Hoopla and Libby are free, which I love, so I will just stick with those two apps for right now, unless some audiobook company wants to sponsor me, because I will not say no to that. And obviously if you just use the library, you have to give the books back, which does hurt a little bit because I would love to have my own like personal library of just stacks and stacks of books, you know, one day, okay? But another great option instead of buying books new is thrifting books. Most thrift stores don't have the best selection, I will be honest, but there are also shops that sell thrifted books, like that's their whole thing. Like Half Price Books is one store that I know of. I actually saw a TikTok on this, which is, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to screenshot it for this video. There's this website called thriftbooks.com, I think, and it's this huge website where they just resell books, and you can actually select like the condition you want the book in. So I think that's kind of cool, you know, it's like a little Russian roulette with books. I think that's another great resource if you want to like save a little bit of money and not spend as much. Again, I think the biggest thing is you have to identify what's stopping you. For me, obviously, you know, it was the money part, but if for you it's you don't have enough time, like you don't have the time to just sit down and read, audiobooks are a great solution to that. And at the end of the day, you have to want it. I have been on my reading journey for 5 years now. You know, I'm a huge procrastinator. Most people probably will not take 5 years to start reading books, but hey, I got here in the end, and I love that I'm here in the end. If you're still watching this video, thank you so much. Please consider subscribing. I post on YouTube as much as I can, but I'm a lot more active on TikTok. So if you want some more of me and my content, I post almost daily on my TikTok account, so you can follow me on there if you want. As always, please let me know your thoughts in the comments. Any questions you have, I'll be super happy to answer them.